on Main Street in the Christmas season, and what a beautiful season it is. And I am with the beautiful Lizzy Brady. And by beautiful Lizzy, I see your art on the windows, SageBrush Designs, and it just lifts my spirit. What a wonderful, wonderful gift you give to our community each season with your painting.
Thank you.
So there are a number of places. How did you get into art, and how did you get into painting windows at so many places in our community?
I started about 2 years ago. I really actually never had any interest in painting at all. But thanks to my mom, who's very artistic and painted windows a little bit before too, and Linda Prater, who helped me get started in painting, she just really believed that I could do it. And she was the one who kind of got me into it. And I started at the library in McLeod and Tecumseh, and then it just took off from there.
And so now this is seasonal, of course, because I see so many Christmas paintings, but you do this all throughout the year for merchants throughout the entire area, don't you?
Yes, quite a few of them. I have regular customers that switch out from, spring, summer, fall, winter, or Valentine's Day, different holidays.
And I drove around town and I took some pictures because I wanted to ask you some specific questions. First of all, this one right behind us, we're at Lee and Roger's lunchbox, of course. This is a great picture that spans the entire front of the building. First of all, how long does it take you to paint something like this?
This one was a lot of fun, a lot of work, but it took me, I think, just a day. I didn't have to break it into 2 parts. Sometimes I have to, depending on the weather. But yeah, it just took me about a day.
Well, there's wonderful detail, and I'm wondering how much input do you have to have from the business owner, or like this? You have snowmen. I mean, I love the carrots. I love everything about this one. But how much input do you have to have from the owner for the ideas that you get in order to paint on their windows?
Just enough to get some, inspiration. I try to find some ideas online to give them a good idea of what they are maybe looking for if they're confused on what it is. But yeah, if they have an idea, sometimes that's a lot more helpful to create something that they want.
Well, let's look at that far panel closer. And look, you have 3 different snowmen, 2 of them sipping hot cocoa with a straw. I mean, where do you get that picture? I mean, how does that come to you, or how are you able to do it in such detail?
A lot of it is still from like pictures I find online. I can put them together or something, or adjust, the colors or the detail. It's hard not to go overboard when it's such a fun painting to do.
Well, and you say fun, look at that guy right next to it. He's a snowman. He's just looking to the heavens. It looks like he is just having so much fun.
Yes, he's definitely enjoying the season.
How do you transfer that feeling onto a window like that? I mean, Lizzy, that is just talent.
Thank you. I give full credit to God. He's the one who blessed me with the talent, and my mom.
Well, and you said that you have encouragers. How important is it that we encourage one another, especially when you're a small business owner like yourself?
So much. It means so much. Thankfully, I haven't had too many displeased customers, but the ones I have, it tears you down a little bit for sure when they're not happy with what you do and you try so hard to please them. But most of the time, I have some very happy people that are just happy with what I do, and it means a lot.
And so for your business, Lizzy's available, and just hit us and we can give you contact information if you want to get something done this season for your business. But again, it's an all-season business, and we're gonna look right up the road a little bit over at Legacy Realty Team. The way in which this is contrast what we see at the lunchbox is this is mostly words. Yes. Was this something that the owner said, hey, this is kind of what I want?
Yes.
Or how did you make the decision to do words?
Yep, I had a meeting with them and their little crew there, and they had some ideas on what they wanted, and they went with words this time. I enjoy the lettering, it's fun, but it is very time consuming. Even if it's just one color, I have to have it perfect, the lines and everything. And so it's very time consuming, but I like how it turned out.
Yes, and it's the most wonderful time of the year, and we wish you a Merry Christmas. It seems like it has almost a gift-giving card nuance to it. What about right next door? They had that second window that was a shop for them, and you did a Christmas scene. Look at that Christmas scene and the detail on that Christmas scene. It's very hard to paint landscapes. I mean, I actually see the water in there, the snow in there, all of those. I mean, Lizzy, that's just quite a talent.
Thank you.
And what made you contrast with the ornaments there to almost make it look like, no, this is just fun. This is like Wonderland.
They wanted something that would last throughout the winter, and they originally wanted some trees at the bottom. And for some reason, I was having difficulty figuring out how to paint the trees that they were wanting, and so they were okay with me just switching it up a bit, and they were still happy with how it turned out.
It looks really good, and that is one that they'll be able to keep up well after the season.
Yeah.
And then we go down the road just a little bit further, still on Main Street. Another reason to come down to Main Street is, number one, to shop for the ones that you love here. In an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, you can walk the entire Main Street and pop into all of the different businesses. But you get to see Lizzy's work as well on a number of the windows, maybe a half dozen or so up and down the street. And one of my favorites, and we go back to the colorful ones, is the Grinch. And you have the Grinch there at Mandy's place, at the Owl Shop. Talk about that and the right side of that window. I mean, that is just so fun to look at.
It was a lot of fun. He was my first Grinch. I hadn't had any Grinch paintings yet, and she really liked the sign, some ideas we were going back and forth with, and so we went with the Grinch, and I'm very happy with how that one turned out. It was a lot of fun.
It really was. And then if you look at the entire facade of the building, it looks like you created like Whoville on the other side, and he's kind of taken all the gifts away from Whoville. Was that your thought process?
It
through there?
was. I saw that, I know the Dr. Seuss trees are all kind of wonky and fun, and so I was like, well, what if, the Christmas tree I was looking at, he was, pulling the lights, and that's why it was going wonky. That was, a fun idea.
And then just over at the doggy spot, you have, again, just kind of a fun, but this way you incorporated a pet. The snowman actually has a pet in the painting. Tell us about that one.
The little paw prints and the snowflakes, too.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. How cool.
Yeah, that one was a lot of fun. It's always nice to do something new and different.
And so that's something, when you were painting it, you were like, I think I'll throw some paw prints in there. How do you make that so exact? I mean, I would have to start.
Yeah, that one was difficult.
Pardon me?
It was a little difficult to, make it so exact, but it was fun.
So talk a little bit about that, because different artists have different style. How do you start when you start your painting? Do you like lay down a layer and then you come over it, or are you doing it image by image?
We for sure, I clean the windows with a certain solution, and then I start putting a white latex base down, which is really durable, but it's like so much easier to clean up when you have to scrape the paintings off. And then you have to let it dry, and you get the colors on, and then the black outlining and the little white highlights. And
so is that all basic art stuff that you would be doing on a canvas, or is this stuff like self-taught for you?
Self-taught. I've looked up at quite a few window painters and tried to follow some of their examples or suggestions. But most of it has definitely been through trial and error.
Well, and when I asked, hey, Lizzy, where are some places you'd like me to go? You mentioned, hey, I really like this business, but I don't know too much about the painting, whether it's one of my best or not. And I went by, and it was the Lighthouse, and that's right off of Independence. I used to work there, actually. When I moved back to Radio Shack, right there on the corner, there was a Radio Shack on the corner of that building. And when I came back to town, and in my last years of employment like that, that's where we actually worked. That was my college job.
Wow.
And so right next door, a place called the Lighthouse. And I drove up thinking, okay, this wouldn't be too cool. But when we look at the Lighthouse, you actually put a lighthouse in a snow globe. Come on, Lizzy, how can that not be totally cool? Tell me the inspiration about that, because I just love it.
I have a lot of ideas saved on like Pinterest board or something that I really like. I have an idea that would be a spin-off of what I'm looking at, and I really love the snow globe idea. And when someone's just like, just be creative, then I can have a little bit more free reign to do what I'm hoping to do or whatever. And I was really wanting to do a snow globe. I'm happy with how it turned out. I like it. It's a little different than what I normally do there.
And again, this one is kind of black and white. What's your decision-making process on color, black and white, and those kind of things?
If they have an opinion, or if they have, a preference, it mostly based off of that, I'll ask them. If they don't have a preference, it's a lot faster for me most of the time to do white, and so I'll go with that route.
Well, it looks very classy when you do the white, but I
Yes.
walked up on you and asked you to do this interview, and this is all about talking to people, and this is how Lizzy and I met, is she was actually painting, and I've noticed the paintings around town for the last number of years. And so I just walked up and started talking to her, and here we are. We end up and we get to learn so much about another wonderful person in our community. We were over at one of my favorite places, or my favorite people's places, which is Harrison Discount Pharmacy there on the building, and you were in the back, and now Dazzle Salon has moved over there, I noticed.
Yes.
And you were painting this. How cool. I want to start now with the snowmen again on the side. And when we look at that snowman, the detail again that you put into this, what was the inspiration for it looks like a husband and wife snowman.
Yes. She messaged me pretty late into this season, kind of, and she was like, "Is there a way that I can get in?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "I just something simple, whatever's quick." And I can hardly ever be quick. I like detail. I like to have fun with it, and so I threw some ideas out there, and she likes keeping it up throughout the winter and stuff, and so she wanted a snowman. And then I thought, they cut hair, girls and men, or whatever, and so I thought 2 snowmen would be good.
Well, the snowman and the snow girl look wonderful, but then I had to just zoom in on those Christmas trees because of the detail. But you know what? I see implemented in a lot of these, that plaid, we have some leopard as well in this one.
That was the first.
But that plaid, I mean, that has to be a stencil, Lizzy. How do you do that?
Yeah, it's all free-handed.
No stencil
No
whatsoever.
stencil. No.
Oh, wow.
Yep. I love the plaid, and I was like, it always looks so complicated to me. I'm like, I can't do it. So I kept putting it off, and then I just keep looking at it more. I'm like, that's not that complicated. It's actually not that hard. So I figured it out, and it worked.
Well, when you're an expert at what you do, some things that are hard for everybody else are not hard for you. But what really impresses me about the plaid is that it looks like plaid wool. It actually looks like it has the motion that wool would have on my scarf or on whatever I'm wearing. Is that just something you feel, or do you try to get that motion in there?
I mean, definitely with the highlights, the black and stuff, that will give it that kind of look and stuff. And
okay, what about the leopard? Why did we jump on the leopard?
She loved the leopard. When I was showing her some examples of trees, she like, I like the leopard for sure. And I was like, okay, I haven't tried it yet. I hadn't done it, but it worked out. I like how it turned out.
Well, I'm telling you, when you look for good things in our community, you're going to find good things. And I found one in Lizzy. And now I want to ask you a few questions about you, because we believe in small business. We believe in doing what God has called you to do and then just being consistent in it. And that might be a job in a factory. It might be in the retail, but it also might be owning your own business and trying. Lizzy, owning your own business. Now, you have a family. Tell us about your family. Give some shout outs to those in your family.
I have a very supportive husband. I have 3 little girls and another girl on the way. I come from a family of 13.
Wow.
Yes, my mom and dad are still living, and they had 13 kids, 9 girls and 4 boys. And my mom was artistic and musical. My dad was musical. He was a pastor. Just a very close-knit, loving family.
Well, and as a pastor and as a mom, your mom passed down traits. It says that your children's children, you pass those traits down. And you gave a shout out earlier to your mom about what she taught you. Tell me about that now that you're a mom of 4 and how important is that a mom, number one, is with their kids enough to pass down traits, and number 2, what you received from your mom in order to do what you're doing now that you love.
Extremely important. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, and she homeschooled all 13 kids.
Wow.
She
she had a class.
pretty much. Yes, we all were in it together. Never had a minute alone. But she was very, very good at what she did. She's a superwoman for sure, and loving and patient, and she got me started on art, started with the portraits. She would always, just have me draw circles and then shade them, circles and shade them all the time. And that's how it started. I love being home with my girls. They all love to color and make a mess, paint everything, draw on everything. So yes, it is very important to be there for your kids.
So important. And then also, obviously, you like to get out, and especially it's a holiday season. We need to, everybody, well, most everyone, we need to earn a little bit more money, through the
Yes.
holidays. It helps us to be able to be in that environment. Talk about your relationship with your husband and how you guys balance, that kind of aspect in your relationship as well at home.
It's definitely always a challenge. We live in Tecumseh, and especially during the Christmas season, I was the main one that's working, and he's home with the kids. He works kind of on remodeling and renovating, and that's kind of hit and miss with the jobs. And so it works in some ways, because I'll have a job sometimes, or he'll have a job, and we take turns.
Talk to us about that balance, because it sounds like growing up you had the same kind of balance in your household where there was a parent with you as much as possible, and then the other parent, of course, making things meet, making ends meet, and you do that together. But how important do you think having some of that balance in your home with your kids is, and is it worth it? Because we take a financial hit when that happens.
For sure. Definitely important. I'm glad that they get to have that time with my husband. Like, starting out, he was working a very full-time job where I wasn't working at all, and he was never there, and the kids would act like, they didn't know him that well, they wouldn't really miss him that much, and I hated that. So when things changed around, they've been able to bond way more, and it's just a lot closer. My dad was always a very hard worker, and he did a lot of counseling and, of course, pastoring, and a lot of respect for sure, for him taking on that load. He was always tired when he got home, but he still made time for us. He would read us bedtime stories, or would have devotional Bible, in the morning, and praying and all of that. So definitely important to have a balance, though.
It is, and I want to encourage you to think about that in your own life. I had just recently one of the nicest, sincerest gentlemen that I know. He's about to turn 50, and just out of the blue, he turned to me and he goes, I really missed a lot. I have 2 kids in college, and now I have one somewhere in high school age, and he goes, I just feel like I missed a lot, and I'm not letting that happen anymore. And my heart broke for him, because I know just how great a guy this guy was, and I know the sacrifices that he made for his family. But as a grown man in our 50s, we really look back at that. And how special is that for you, Lizzy, to know that your kids are getting to know both mom and dad, and mom and dad are getting to know the kids and form your own relationships?
Very special. We knew right away when we got married that we wanted kids right away. It was definitely a surprise to have so many right away, but it's been a blessing, and I'm so glad they're so close, and definitely important.
And there's another one on the way. So we want to help SageBrush Design and Lizzy Brady, and also maybe you have some handyman jobs as well, as what we're learning. And if you just comment or you message us, we'll get you in touch safely with Lizzy and her family to be able to help out. And Lizzy, as you do this kind of work, you're along Main Street outside a lot. And there's talk around our community that, that's a dangerous place, and we can't take our kids down there, and all of these things. And we are out on the sidewalk right across from the library. First of all, are we safe, Lizzy? I mean, downtown, when we're sitting here, do you feel safe as a mom with 4 kids?
At the moment, yes. I got to be honest, it has been a little scary sometimes painting, because I'll have to do it when the weather's good or when I'm available to paint. So it's not always during the daytime, and that's definitely a little bit more nerve-wracking. But
sure,
it's a beautiful place. I love how people are coming into the businesses and dressing things up, and they're trying to make things better again.
And I love that candidness, because that's a message to us all that, hey, if there's more people downtown, we all feel safer, don't we?
Yes.
Sometimes you feel very alone on these sidewalks when it's starting to turn evening.
Yes, absolutely. I definitely had to call the police a few times. But yes, it helps when there's more people around.
And so we want to encourage everybody to be able to come and enjoy a lot of Lizzy's work downtown in Shawnee. You're going to love it. And anywhere around town or around the area, if you see SageBrush Designs, hit us up and we'll put you in touch with the owner and a very beautiful artist who comes to your business or your place and will paint these beautiful paintings, these pieces of art on your own window.
And I do inside murals as well.
Oh, really?
Any kind of painting, pretty much. Yeah.
So if I'm having a family gathering and maybe I have a large mirror or I have windows on the inside and I want to put something festive on the inside, you
Yes.
do that as well?
Absolutely.
And do you do it any time of year?
Anytime. Yes.
Hit us up. We'll put you in touch with the lovely Lizzy Borden. Lizzy
Brady.
Borden.
It's okay.
Can you imagine what I just said?
It's okay.
Lizzy Brady. And hey, Shawnee, remember, all of us together, we're building community one season at a time. Merry Christmas to everybody.